this example, we chose the longest line just for illustration purposes. I recommend you not pick the most complex product family for your model line. So what's a value stream map? It's actually a pictorial snapshot of your shop floor. It gives material and information flow data, and it goes from start to finish, so supplier to customer. Now there are three value stream map types that you need to be familiar with. They're the current state, the future state, and the ideal state map. So a current state map is a snapshot of what's going on today. It provides a baseline of how you're performing right now, and oftentimes you'll see Kaizen bursts that show which direction the company's trying to move as far as improvement goes. These Kaizen bursts are transferred into an implementation plan, and that implementation plan is used to drive your improvement for the next 90 days. So why 90 days? Why not 30 or 60? Well, there's nothing magical about 90 days. I've just found through experience that a 90-day focused effort to take your current state to your future state works best. Now, I highly recommend that you check the status of your progress frequently. But 90 days is about as long as a team can keep intense focus to move to a future state. So this is a sample implementation plan driven from the Kaizen burst on a current state map. First and foremost, the goals in the plan should be created by the team. Everyone must agree that if the goals are achieved, the team will achieve the future state. The team should also agree that the goals are attainable. Now, it's better to err more on the side of being too aggressive. You'd be surprised as to how pressure can help teams achieve goals that they thought were unattainable. I've seen various formats for this 90-day plan. I always like using some sort of Gantt chart with specific targets and review dates. This lets everyone know the timing and the outcome expected at each stage of the 90 days. Perhaps the most important map is the ideal state map. This map tells me what your organization wants to be when it grows up. It also shows me the vision that's been set for your organization. It's the ultimate goal, and I encourage you to be aggressive. Envision a system with zero waste in it. This is going to serve as a guide for all future state maps. Creating an ideal state map can be very interesting. If you're working with a group or an individual that's a visionary, the exercise can stimulate thinking and create a direction that didn't exist before. If you're facilitating this event, it's important that you not impose your vision on the team. The vision has to belong to them. Questions like, what would this system look like without waste? Or, ideally, how do you envision this system running? May get the ball rolling. I've seen many cases where ideal state maps were much too conservative. It was only a matter of a few months before the ideal state was reached. Now, this was a positive step toward getting the team to build a real ideal state map next time. But remember, the ideal state is your vision of perfection. In theory, you shouldn't be able to reach it. It's meant to serve as a guiding light for your organization. So don't be afraid to share your vision. So your future state map was your 90-day goal. Now, ideally, if you drove through all your implementation actions, that future state is now your current state. You follow the same pattern, you envision another future state map, you go and create the Kaizen bursts that are going to get you there, and create an implementation plan. This new future state map should be 90 days closer to your ideal state map. Now, remember, in the perfect world, this loop works just right, and in exactly 90 days, your future state becomes your current state. Obviously, it doesn't always work that way. When I'm working with organizations, I like to see past drafts of future state maps. If I notice that there aren't multiple drafts, this means that the team is hitting their future state easily within the 90-day period. The scientific term for this is called sandbagging. I like to see multiple drafts that show me where the team fell short. This is because I like seeing teams being pushed to the limit and maximizing their 90 days. So I'm going to walk you through constructing a very basic value stream map. Now, there are many different approaches, and I encourage you to explore the different sequences to find the way that works best for you and your organization. One thing I do encourage you to do is draw these out in pencil. This way you can draw freely, knowing you can make mistakes and fix them later. Now personally, I like to start by creating symbols for the customer, then the supplier. This helps me bound the process so I know where it starts and where it ends. The reason I start by bounding the process is to clearly spell out the start and end point of the process I'm interested in. I found that without clearly defined bounds, we tend to wander. I then ask the team to walk me from start to finish so I can see all the steps between those 2 points. I walk the process numerous times until I clearly understand how the value flows. I then draw a process box for each major processing step where material moves and stops. Keep in mind these are major discrete steps where value doesn't flow. If you come across a cell where value is flowing, treat this as one box until a point you see a break in the flow. Next, draw a data box under each process box and include pertinent information about the step. I've listed some usual suspects you may want to capture. Remember, it's best if you capture the data on the shop floor personally rather than relying on someone to pull info from the system. For certain items that take a long time, like setup or CO for changeover, you may just want to get this from the system or ask an operator. So this is what the map looks like so far. Next, this symbol represents how much inventory was produced by a station. The symbol is used to show raw material, work in process, and finished goods of the value stream. Keep in mind that all the inventory produced by a particular workstation may not be still present at that specific site. So while some of Fold 1's inventory may still be in the work area, some of it may have been shifted to Fold number 2's area. It's important to properly account for inventory in the correct bucket. Next, we have two main ways to show how material flows through our value stream. One is a push symbol and the other is a pull symbol. In our case, we're running on a pure push system. I include the system with the inventory triangles I previously made. This is a classic model and you often see a production control box. Draw the production control box in the top center of the page. This box represents the production control and the scheduling department, so you may want to note all the systems that are being used. Next, we want to show how raw materials are flowing through your system and how finished goods are being transported out. This truck symbol is used to indicate the mode of transportation for shipping and receiving goods. Other symbols include boat, plane, and train. The frequency at which items are transported is generally noted inside of the symbol. A value stream map would not be complete without showing how information flows. In fact, this is what makes a value stream map unique from other mapping techniques. The straight arrow is used to show how information flows. This information can include frequency, forecasts, or schedules. The lightning bolt arrow is used to show the electronic flow of information. This information can also include frequency, forecasts, and schedules. But this is generally information that flows via computer. Now, this is a timeline that goes across the bottom of the map. The high points represent the lead time, in this case in days, of each inventory symbol that is captured on the timeline. Lead time equals inventory divided by the customer demand. So, for example, if there are 200 pieces of WIP with one fold and the final customer wants 20 planes per day, then the top line at the end of fold station 1 would be 200 divided by 20, which equals 10 days. The lower points on the timeline represent the value added time of each processing step. Now, in our model, cycle time at each station is all value added time. In the real world, only a portion of your cycle time will be value added. Now, there's one final conceptual point I want to drive home. If you are producing in batches, do not put the time it takes to process the entire batch as value added time. Only put down the time it takes to process the first piece in the batch as value added time. Remember, the customer only wants one piece at any given time. They order in batches because of your inefficiencies. So only the first piece of any batch is value added. The rest of the batch is just along for the ride. Okay, so now you want to sum up the lead times versus the total value added times. Some companies express this as a ratio of time. So again, if you consider the entire batch as value added, you would naturally attempt to increase the ratio of the value added time to the total lead time by increasing your batch size. This is absolutely incorrect and would move us in the opposite direction we want to move as a lean producer. So, in our final map, you can see that it takes an item 88 days to flow from the customer to the supplier, and it only has 70 seconds of value added time. You may be surprised to find your organization's performance is very similar to the model shown here. In closing, keep in mind that this is a very basic model. Your value stream map could be very complex and have multiple paths. If you do have multiple paths, use the longest path for the timeline below. You can then illustrate how the other paths feed into this line.